If you run a local business, you know your website is your digital front door. But what if that door, the one you've poured time and money into, is actually locked for a huge portion of your potential customers? In this explainer, we're going to dig into what website accessibility really means for your business and for your bottom line.
Okay, so let's just paint a picture here, one that happens all the time. A potential customer finds you online. They're ready to go, they want to book an appointment or buy something, but they hit a wall. Maybe the site is totally impossible to use with their keyboard, or maybe their screen reader, that's the software that reads a page out loud, just can't make sense of anything. The result? It's always the same. They get frustrated and they leave.
And here's the tough question you have to ask yourself. Could this be happening on your website right now without you even knowing it? That's not just a lost lead we're talking about, it's a slammed door for a customer who was actively trying to give you their business. So let's just be really direct about this. If you've ever thought, does this really apply to my little business? The answer is almost certainly yes. It's time to start thinking of website accessibility as a core part of your business, just like having a phone number or physical address. It is absolutely not an optional extra.
So, why should this be a top priority for you? Well, it turns out this isn't just about some vague compliance rule. It hits on three things that every single business owner cares about: your legal risk, your ability to reach more customers, and, of course, the reputation you've worked so hard to build.
You know, a lot of small business owners think the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, is just for giant corporations. But that's a huge misconception. The law was written way before the internet took over our lives. But courts have been really consistent on this. Your website is basically an extension of your physical shop. If people can use it to book, buy, or contact you, it falls under the same rules.
And yeah, this applies pretty much across the board, but some industries are definitely under a bigger microscope. Just look at this list. If you're in healthcare, you run a restaurant, or you sell things online, you're on it. Same goes for legal and financial services, or even local home services like plumbing or landscaping. The more your website is the main way people interact with you, the higher the stakes.
And this right here is the crucial point. You can look at this whole thing through two different lenses. On one side, yep, there's the legal risk. We're talking demand letters, legal fees, and a real dent in your brand. But flip it around. Look at the other side. You've got a massive business opportunity. More leads, more conversions, way more customer trust, and even better SEO. That SEO boost is real, by the way, because search engines like Google kind of read your site the same way a screen reader does. They love clear structure and good descriptions, so an accessible site is almost always a more search engine-friendly site.
And here's something that's just so fascinating about all this. When you make a website accessible, you don't just help users with disabilities, you actually make the site better for everyone. Seriously, think about it. Clear headings, text that's easy to read, simple forms. That's just good design, right? It helps someone trying to use their phone in the bright sunlight just as much as it helps someone who needs to watch your video without any sound.
Okay, so we get why this is so important. But what does being compliant actually look like in the real world? Let's try and demystify the technical stuff a little bit.
The thing is, the ADA law itself doesn't give you a simple checklist for your website. So in practice, the entire industry, everyone from developers to lawyers, looks to a set of standards called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. You'll hear it called WCAG for short. Just think of WCAG as the official playbook for making a website that works for everybody. So what's actually in this playbook? Well, it gets into the nitty-gritty. Things like making sure there's enough color contrast between your text and the background so people can actually read it, or making sure someone can get to every single part of your site using only their keyboard. It also covers things like adding simple descriptions to your images. That's called alt text. And of course, putting captions on your videos.
And here is a super important mindset shift. Accessibility isn't a one-and-done thing. You can't just buy a certificate and forget about it. It's an ongoing process. I mean, think about it. Every single time you add a new page, upload a photo, or post a new video, you are making a choice that either helps or hurts your site's accessibility.
So what's the actual target here? If you're talking to a web developer, you're going to hear a term thrown around, WCAG 2.1 Level AA. Don't get hung up on the numbers and letters. All you need to know is that Level AA is the recognized industry standard for most business websites. It's the benchmark that shows you've made a serious good faith effort.
All right, let's get really practical now. Most accessibility issues aren't caused by one single giant mistake. No, they're usually a whole bunch of small, really common errors that just stack up over time and create these massive barriers for your customers.
So take a look at this list. Does any of it ring a bell? That light gray text on a white background that looks super trendy but is impossible to read? Or a contact form with no clear labels on the boxes?
What about just uploading a PDF of your restaurant menu instead of making it a real web page? These are the exact kinds of little things that can make a site totally unusable for someone.
And a quick but really important warning. You've probably seen ads for these quick fix accessibility plugins, the ones that promise they'll solve everything with just one line of code. Please be super cautious here. While they might help with a few tiny issues, they almost never fix the real structural problems with your site. They basically just give you a false sense of security.
Okay, that's enough about the problems. Let's talk about solutions. Here is a really straightforward action plan you can use to figure out where your site stands today and what you should do next. Here's a simple 4-step plan you can do yourself. First, review your most critical pages, your booking form or your checkout process. Second, test it, but in a new way. Put your mouse away and try to get through that whole process using only the tab and enter keys on your keyboard. I promise you, this can be a huge eye-opener. Third, assess the basics. Is your text easy to read? Are the headings clear? And finally, use all that info to decide. Can you get away with a few small fixes, or is it maybe time to think about a smarter, long-term investment in a redesign? Okay, this is a question we get all the time. Hey, I use a platform like Squarespace or Wix, so I'm covered, right? And the answer, unfortunately, is a firm no. Think of it this way. The platform gives you a fantastic kitchen, but you're still the chef. You are the one responsible for the ingredients you pick, the colors you choose, the images you upload without descriptions, and the way you lay out your content. The tools are there, for sure, but the choices are all yours. And that really brings us to the most important mindset shift of all. This isn't just about trying to dodge a lawsuit. Smart business strategy is about actively removing every single piece of friction that stands between you and a paying customer. And believe me, an inaccessible website is a huge, unnecessary point of friction.
So, I'll leave you with this one thought. Your website is supposed to be your business's front door to the entire world. The only question you need to ask yourself is this: are you absolutely sure that door isn't quietly and unintentionally being slammed shut for a huge part of your audience?